All right, evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us for this month's Vanderbilt University School of Engineering's graduate program conversation hour. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest panelists today, current graduate students in our Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. First off, I'll just give everybody a brief intro. So my name is Gabriel Luis. I am the Director of Graduate Recruitment for the School of Engineering. And I will allow each of our guests to introduce themselves, do a brief introduction when I'll call on your names. And then from there, we will get started with tonight's panel discussion, which I'm sure you are all very excited about. I certainly am. So first of all, thank you all for your time and for joining us tonight. And I would like to first have Simon, if you could just give everybody just a brief intro, a little bit about who you are and your area of research that you're working in, and then we'll go to the next panelist. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
Great. Okay, yeah, so my name's Simon. I am halfway through my third year now of my PhD in electrical engineering at Vanderbilt. Really loving it. My research focuses on biosensors, so similar to like COVID tests, for example, trying to make different versions of those for like different diseases and other applications, and trying to improve them using machine learning to make them more robust so they can be shipped out to low resource and parts of the world where we have like really extreme temperatures and humidities and things like that. So
All right. Thank you so much for that intro. Next up, Tang Yucheng.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Yu Cheng, and I'm currently the fourth year of PhD students in electrical and computer engineering. And my research focuses on the medical image analysis and using the artificial intelligence technologies to analyze the CT or MR images of abdomen. Yeah, we explore many like deep learning and machine learning, more than statistical methods on the image processing problems. And yeah, and we also collaborated with many doctors and clinicians on some like clinical problems. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction. Next up, Kaylee.
Hello, I'm a fourth year as well in electrical engineering. My research mostly focuses on brain MRI, specifically how we can use artificial intelligence techniques to find changes in the brain, specifically when it comes to conditions like mild traumatic brain injury and Alzheimer's disease.
All right, thanks so much. And I think it's really interesting, and this is really a theme that I want to really bring out in tonight's discussion is the fact that, Vanderbilt School of Engineering, because of our size, because of the type of research we focus on, it is very multidisciplinary. And I think that's something that I would like at least the audience to really, something that I would want to resonate with them is, the different research institutes, the different centers, the different, just having the medical center next door is another vast resource, that we have in terms of accessibility to, not only the medical center, but also other areas, other, schools on campus in which we do cross collaboration. Can you talk, and I'll have each one of you just introduce, through your own research and give examples of how do you, really engage in those resources on campus and how accessible is that to you and how, I guess, essential is it to you to be able to have those types of interdisciplinary research opportunities at a place like Vanderbilt?
yeah, I can dive in first if I may. I found it really supportive of like my research and my kind of goals like longer term. So the kind of sensors we make are we're engineering them on the nanoscale. So we use a lot of the sort of like facilities set up by what's known as like the Vanderbilt Institute for Nanoscience and Engineering. And so we have like a built-in clean room on campus, which will go in and we'll like fabricate our nanoscale structures and things. And so that's been like really great to have that on site, like a minute walk away, which I know is not the case everywhere you go, but it's also been really cool to like start in one place with my research and then move in different directions towards like sort of totally different fields. Like machine learning was something that I was really interested in and was able to like incorporate. And there's just so, yeah, as you say, really interdisciplinary. So there's a lot of support from all these different fields and like so many opportunities just to like chat to people that are working in different fields and like bounce ideas off each other. And yeah, it's been really valuable for me.
I can go next. So on my, sorry, you think we're in the same lab, so it'll maybe be a little repetitive, probably not. On my very first day as a PhD student, I had graduated from with my bachelor's degree literally a month previous. I went and talked to my advisor to get some direction on what to do first. And then I had a meeting with a neurosurgeon, which was absolutely crazy. Like, that's the kind of collaboration that we have. It's not just like me talking to another grad student who happens to do the more like brain side of it, because I'm definitely more of a like computer science side. I know enough about the brain to be functional, but I work with other people who know way more about it, so that the things that I do actually make sense. So that's one cool thing, talking to a neuroscientist on my first day. The other thing is our research institute, Vanderbilt Institute of Surgery and Engineering, actually has a dedicated collaborative space in the medical center. So we just walk over to the medical center. There's coffee and snacks, which is honestly like 25% of collaboration. And since it's right in the medical center, you know, the surgeons and the doctors and everyone working with us can just, you know, pop over. There's an fake OR that you can do testing in and stuff. It's a really cool space. So yeah, it's super integrated into everything we do.
Yeah, Katie talked about our collaborators and or like collaborating resources from doctors and clinicians, and we have a very nice institute for like engineering for surgeries and like medical center. We also have some like data resources that the facilities in locate in the medical center, and also we also have some like really good computing resources. Like most of our algorithms are running on the large scale data, and we also have a high performance computing resources called Acre in Vanderbilt for the entire engineering school, and also for other institutes. The Acre is really nice, and we use very convenient commands to run our jobs and our algorithms, and can deploy our codes like to run on the large scale data. And we have this kind of really nice computing resources that could easily deploy research and productive codes for all these kind of research. Yeah, that's really nice. It's very convenient and it's very productive to use those high performance computers for running codes. Yeah, that's really nice resources.
All right. Thank you so much for that input. And it really is something that I think makes Vanderbilt very special is the cross collaboration that goes on here, the collegiality that exists. And kind of to what Kaylee was talking about, you know, like the coffee and the snacks are like 25% of, you know, the whole experience. Well, you know, that says a lot about, you know, the relationship building that goes on and the networking that goes on between these institutes, between these centers. And that's really something that not only just for your own research collaboration, but also even potentially professional development opportunities, you know, once you're out in the workforce and looking for, you know, when you're looking at your, you know, career development, having made those connections are also something that are, you know, that could come in and help, you know, at some point in time. So the networking is essential, and it's a great platform to have at Vanderbilt. And we could have like a completely, you know, we could have a whole discussion just dedicated to that, really. But thank you very much for that input. Can you talk a little bit about why did you decide to go to graduate school, and kind of what was it about Vanderbilt that stood out to you?
Again,
Mine's short and sweet.
Oh, you go first.
Oh, sorry, Simon. So I was already in Nashville for my undergraduate, and I knew a lot of really cool professors who had gotten their PhD degrees at Vanderbilt. And I wanted to stay in Nashville because I like Nashville. So this is where I applied, and I got in, and I'm still here.
Yeah, I was not in Nashville before I came here. I was very far away, but I think it was just like a combination of kind of the things we've mentioned already, but also, as Katie was saying, like had followed the research from my advisor, particularly, who's a real powerhouse, and like was really excited to work with her. And then, yeah, just like the interdisciplinary aspect, having a bit like that feels like a bit more freedom to take your research where you're interested in it going. And then other things like the pretty campus and like really cool facilities. I've never seen a gym this large before. So, and, yeah, I'm sure there are many other reasons I'm forgetting, but
The trees are part of it.
yeah.
Yeah, my experience is before I come to Vanderbilt, I was a developer in Siemens Healthineers. So yeah, I work as a software engineer in a company. But I was that experience is special. So I was in a team that deploys the research algorithms into their products, like the scanning machines, like CT, MRI, and I just like my work is just to like convert some research codes into the C++ and to implement on the machines. So that's really nice experience. And my mentor and my manager, um, they lead some very nice research and development R&D products in the company. So I was really interested in that entire process of this, how research can guide the professional machines to better serve the clinicians and patients. So I was so inspired by those projects and products. So I decided to go deeper into this field, and yeah, I applied like the PhD program here in Vanderbilt. So we have very nice connections with these institutes and companies, so we can like continue my career with like a PhD degree or PhD program that could be expect me to like be require meet the requirements of like these kind of works. So that's my dream work of like doing R&D work in the industry. Yeah.
All right, excellent. So it's neat to see, really the combination and just the different perspectives, but then also people coming in from different backgrounds too. So, I mean, Vanderbilt, when it comes to engineering, we have people that are coming in from traditional engineering backgrounds, traditional degree programs, but then also people that maybe switched up their degree programs, as undergrads and then decided to do something else as a graduate student. So there is a lot of different really neat perspectives that we get when we bring people together, which I think is really nice. Having gone through the application process yourself to graduate school, I know that many of the prospective students listening tonight are going to want to hear about, well, do you have any recommendations or maybe tips in terms of kind of what do you think really worked for you on the application in terms of, coming to Vanderbilt or applying to Vanderbilt rather?
Yeah, I think one thing, as Yichen was just mentioning, like I have a bit of industry background as well, which was like kind of helpful, I think, to get an idea of how things work in industry, and like it set me up quite well for research here. But I also think like the research I did in my master's degree as well was like really helpful. It kind of I think, yeah, probably the most important thing to convey is just like the curiosity, like having a real interest in finding out new knowledge, and yeah, getting that across.
Yu-Cheng, you want to go first this time?
Yeah, thank you, Kaylee. Yeah, I was studying, very good, a very great application of my research, which is to explore some like deep learning techniques for prognose type 2 diabetes patients. So on that time, we collaborated with 2 to 3 doctors, both in Vanderbilt University of Medical Center and the University of Texas in Austin, and we have very great clinical team on the definition of the problem. So we have strong backgrounds of that part, and my job is to like use some algorithms to help them, and they have some case and control studies of these type 2 diabetes, and they have some like diagnose and prognose of their different patterns of their pancreas. So we use like the segmentation or the detection technologies to help the doctors or clinicians and to quantify the biomarkers of the pancreas for type 2 diabetes. So that project, we have some nice outcomes and deployed to the real clinical data for patients. So yeah, I think that is a very nice from the technology to a translational research experience. Um, that's a very nice experience for as an application of research to some real world problem. Yeah, it's very inspiring.
So when I applied, the biggest thing that I think got me into Vanderbilt was I had already met my future advisor. So not all the people will email you back. So the way I found my advisor, I went on Vanderbilt's website and I literally just looked through the directory of professors and looked at what research they were working on and figured out something that was interesting to me. And so I emailed Dr. Landman, and it did help that I had a connection with one of my old professors from my undergrad who had like happened to meet him at some point. So I ended up actually coming onto campus and just very casually chatting with him one day. I walked with him from one meeting to another. I was like, "Hey, I think I want to join your lab. Would that be cool?" So that personal connection really helps because a lot of times, if a specific professor wants you in grad school, wants you to work with them on their stuff, then they will help you get through the application process. So if someone sticks out to you and the research looks really, really interesting, just try emailing them. They may not answer, but if they do, it could be very helpful for getting in.
Yeah, I'd like second that as well. I kind of forgot to say it, but definitely reaching out early to people and trying to connect and like finding people that you could see yourself like being interested in the work they're doing, and doesn't have to be like, oh, they publish a paper on the exact topic that you want to do for 5 years, but just like that you can see yourself working under. That's really like important, I think.
Yeah, I remember when I want to apply for the graduate programs. Yeah, I met Dr. Lemon a year before I joined. Really joined the lab. So we had conversation. We talk about the research works, what the lab did, and what I was doing. So that's a very nice conversation to know each other. And yeah, so I think every lab has a very good website, and there are a lot of information, so we can like check what their projects are, what their publications are, and we can have a lot of information. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Yeah, those are some good highlights. I do want to remind the audience, those of you who are watching, so we sent out several registration links. So please, if you have any in our system as you having attended this event, but then also I'll be able to follow up with you after today's session. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead and you can fill out the registration during our session. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to type your questions into the chat. We'll be able to receive them here on our end. So feel free at any point in today's discussion to send us your questions. We'll try to get to as many of them as possible. Kind of on the question that we were on just now, I really want to ask another question, which would be, when it came to your application, how important do you think it was, or just in general, to having had research experience before applying?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think it's like, as graduate students, we're just the ones that are admitted or not, so we don't have a huge insight into why it is. But I know, like, my advisor, for example, was like really happy about the fact that I had some both some industry experience and also some research experience. So it was definitely like one of the biggest, I think, deciding factors for her to know that you can probably pull your weight when you've gone through those experiences in the past, and can maybe hit the ground running a bit more than if you're coming to it for the first time.
Well, I had none, pretty much. I had a very small amount of kind of research internship I did. But yeah, I'm not, and I'm here. So I would say it can be a very, very useful thing to have on your resume. But if you have other interesting things going on, it's not going to be the end of the world if you don't have research and experience. It's also not the end of the world in terms of starting your own research. You do have to run a little faster, I think, than people who already know what's going on, but you figure it out.
Yeah, about the backgrounds, I don't think the really matched experience that is that important, because I remember when Dr. Lemon, so my supervisor, we had an interview several years ago. So what he think is most important is the self-motivation. So you don't need to have exactly the same research experience or strong backgrounds on the publications. And that's also important, but mostly for the junior graduate students or PhD students. So the self-motivation is the most important. So they can support you to go through a long journey of career that supports you to deep into your research and technologies. As I said, it's a long journey. So sometimes it doesn't have to have a very short and competitive backgrounds. But yeah, people will look into your 5 year or 6 years experience, so you can learn a lot during the program. That's my opinion. Thanks.
Yes, no, I think you all make very good points. It's definitely something that I think, research, it looks good, but it's not the only way to show or showcase your background and your talents. There's other ways to do that. And so not everybody coming in has research experience, but it's really how you put all the materials together in your application and how you really present yourself as an overall candidate. I think that's going to be important as well. Your potential. So I'm glad you went into details about, how that looks in terms of, individuals, students in your own situations as well, and how all that kind of came together. So yes, another question is, tell us a little bit about the day in the life of a graduate student at Vanderbilt. So what do you do? What's kind of your day-to-day schedule? And I just want to let the audience know that, so our guests are PhD students. The Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering also has master's programs as well, and that's something that, of course, we can talk about in a separate session. But at least for tonight's session, it's going to be very much focused on PhD applications, since our panelists are PhD students. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the day-to-day life at Vanderbilt. You know, what do you like about being on the university? Like, where places you like to go eat? You know, kind of how do you schedule your day? Kind of the student life insight part. I'm sure a lot of students are going to want to hear about.
Well, it always starts with coffee. um, one of the really nice things, this totally varies from lab to lab, but at least in our lab, we're fairly relaxed, and so we don't have to like be there at 8 a.m. and leave at 5:30 or whatever. You can kind of mold your working schedule to your personality. So I tend to sleep in a little late, so I typically start working around like 8:30 or 9 most days, again with a giant cup of coffee. And it's a little different now because, you know, we work from home sometimes and we work from the office sometimes. But when I'm in the office, and especially before the pandemic and everything, we would get a lot of work done in the morning. Morning is like everyone's still too tired to talk, so we're just like very focused. A lot of us in like our lab, we're mostly data scientists, so like we're mostly just like looking through data and making sure things aren't wrong with our data and fixing things because there's always things wrong with our data. And then around lunchtime, we would pretty much always eat lunch together, which is really fun. That's one of the greatest things about grad school. The other grad students, they're all awesome. And you're all doing a really hard thing together, which makes you like a really big family. So we eat lunch together. A lot of times then we would walk over to our collaborative space because we're part of the VUSE group, and we would go get coffee and snacks over there, play a little bit of Pokemon Go, come back after that break, and get some more work done in the afternoon. And then sometimes go home and write later into the night because sometimes you just have to, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So yes, it is. As Katie said, yeah, we do have some very have a lot of freedom on the working styles. So I think the key point is your supervisors definitely want you to be productive, but that doesn't mean you have to stay in the lab or like work from morning to the night, right? So you can choose your own work style to be productive and work out something. So yeah, so that's the goal for that in the lab, or that also works for like the courses. So for Vanderbilt, if you're taking courses, and the course won't be too long, so there will be 45 minutes to 1 hour, and there will be like 3 courses in each semester for graduate students, and you can arrange yourself very uh, good time plan on these courses, and uh, probably you will have like every day a 1 hour to 2 hours of coursework to work on, and that's pretty reasonable and won't takes you like a very heavy workload. Yeah. So as Katie said, there are a lot of chilling places, and you can work around the campus. And yeah, Vanderbilt campus is really nice and really beautiful. Yeah.
Only at the beginning though for coursework. You don't have to do it the whole time. We're both, Yuching and I are both done with classes, so we just do research all the time.
Yeah, I'm done as well, which is
It's a nice place to be.
Yeah, it's nice. Because that definitely, for me, it took quite a lot of time up, but it was all good stuff. Like the classes, often that you feel like you're almost like, oh, why don't I need to take this? But then you kind of look back and it informs some of your research, and you're like, oh, I'm glad I did it because lecture 16 was the basis of this whole like year-long project or something. So that was cool. But yeah, I definitely like echo what the others were saying. Like if like talking about a day in the life again, yeah, like flexible work schedules are really cool. I generally like cycling to campus because it's fairly like cyclable, which is cool. And then stay at the lab for a bit, and like again, our group is like really close knit, which is cool. So you get some work done, see your lab mates, like you can again bounce ideas off each other or just have a chat, and yeah, it's like go home. You said something about eating. I think I generally like cook at home, so I don't know too much about restaurants, but there are some good ones.
There's a really great Thai food truck close to campus that parks like behind a Starbucks. That's the one thing I think of. We used to go to the Thai food truck all the time on Friday afternoons.
Oh yeah.
So good.
There's also one thing I'm a huge fan of is the free food events, which come up quite frequently, and they're
So
always
awesome.
very welcome. Very welcome.
And it's good food too.
It is good, yeah.
I'm always looking for new restaurants to go to. What do you remember the name of the Thai food truck?
Do you
I may
remember
actually
the
want to
name?
check it out.
I think it might just be called Thai food truck. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
It's just called the
Okay.
truck. Yeah.
It'll come up.
Think what I think I may go check that out. I'm always looking for good places to go eat. What now? Kind of on that same topic, actually, of food and good places to eat. What are some areas or kind of like your go-to places in Nashville that you enjoy going to? I mean, Nashville is a really neat city in the sense that you have kind of a mixture of city and nature, outdoors, all in one place. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the city.
Yeah, I love the fact that you have like city with a lot going on, like music wise, and there's a lot of like really cool bars and like craft breweries and stuff, which I've enjoyed. And then you've got the nature that's not far away either to go like walking around lakes and hiking and like waterfalls and good places to bike around. So it's like you're not stuck in like and trapped in an urban city. Like you've got access to that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. Salsa, which I didn't really consider myself that into, but went along to before the pandemic, which was fun. So.
Yeah. During the pandemic, yeah, I went to like state parks very often. So we just drive. So within 30 minutes drive, you can go to several state parks. That's not too far, and it's really you can enjoy the air. This is a really nice for if you live in Nashville because I think in other cities if you want to go to like a national park or state park you have to drive a very long way, but in Nashville there's no more than 30 minutes you can go like I think there will be 4 to 5 state parks around this area. Yeah, it's really nice. Also there are a lot of driving trails and you don't need to really step down. You can just drive. So it's really relaxing, and when you work hard you want something to relax, yeah, just go on. It's really nice.
Yeah. There's actually two, I think they're technically, I don't know if they're private parks or city parks, but the Egwin and Percy Warner Park systems are actually in the city limits, I think, at least in Davidson County. And they have like 5-6 mile trails that are absolutely gorgeous. It's crazy. There's a lot of breweries. When you asked your favorite place, one of my favorite places is Tailgate Brewery. They have a huge beer list and some awesome pizza and an ice cream place all in one spot. It's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a really great Indian restaurant I love called 615 Chutney. There's plenty of Thai places, like Smiling Elephant. There's a lot of good food. You don't even have to go that far downtown to get to the good food too. I actually live out west of town. I'm like more kind of the outskirts of Nashville, and I still only have to drive 20 minutes to get into Vanderbilt. So really both worlds. I think it's the perfect size city. It's not too big that it feels awful and it takes like 5 hours to get across town unless it's like 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. But it's also like there's just so much going on here. You can go to live music all the time. Lots of outdoor stuff. It's fun
Yeah,
place.
Nashua is growing very fast these years. It's
Also that.
like visible growing, and yeah, so more buildings and more restaurants, and yeah. So the most impressive thing is the downtown. You have a lot of bars, right? I'm not a big fan of country music, but yeah, I really enjoy the music shows inside the bars. I went there several times.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is amazing. You can just walk into a bar and there's like professional musicians, but
Yeah.
just
Always
yeah,
live music
always, yeah,
everywhere.
exactly. Yeah, and
So,
like
615 Chutney even has like live Indian music, which is cool.
really,
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's neat. Wow, I did not know
It's
that.
very unique. Everyone go to 615 Chutney.
I think Kaylee knows where all the good restaurants are in Nashville. I think next time I need a recommendation, I'm just going to
Yes.
contact you.
You could. I just really like food. I make a lot of food. I bake a lot of things. I go to a lot of food places.
Yeah, Katie's very good at baking. Yeah, she bakes everyone's birthday cake in our lab, so it's just really nice. Oh, before
Whoa.
pandemic.
Before the pandemic.
Homemade
It's been a
birthday
while.
cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made Dr. Landman one that was shaped like a brain. It
Yeah.
took too long. I won't ever do it again, but
I hope you
It
took
was fun.
pictures of it.
we did. They're on Twitter.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to see it, at Massey Lab.
All right, I'm gonna check that out. That's actually really neat. So yes, no, I mean, there's Nashville is a very balanced city in terms of just kind of for the many reasons we talked about, just kind of the right size as a city, have access to a lot of those big city resources, but you do have the outdoors right next door, which is something that's very, I think, unique about the city, having both of those, kind of the best of both worlds in one area in terms of having access to those resources. In terms of like student resources on campus, like have you taken advantage of, just in terms of like the graduate student services, whether it be the career advising services or other types of, just in terms of the offices and the types of services that the school provide or university rather provides in general to graduate students? I guess, can you talk a little bit more about that? Maybe if you're involved in student organizations, those types of things.
In terms of student services, sorry, Chang. One of
Go ahead.
the
No
things I've
worries.
been really impressed with is we have a really incredible mental health structure. So the school pays for a few different like mindfulness apps like Headspace for students so that you can do meditation and stuff and chill out when you're very stressed. You can get free mental health counseling. The graduate school life coach is an awesome resource for anything from like career advice to struggling with communicating with your advisor to getting connected to anything else that the school has. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I will mention something for international students. So in Vanderbilt, there is an like ELS course, so which is the English tutoring course uh, for for those who think their own English speaking English is not that good. I think that's really nice resources because it's completely free, and uh, there will be the course every semester, and uh, everyone is free to register and to improve your like speaking English or writing English. So there are also a workshops. And there will be also workshops for the academic writings and English writings, essay writings. There are a lot of workshops around there uh, to improve your like English skills. Yeah, that's very good for international students. Yeah, it's completely free, and there will really nice mentor that one-to-one serving and to help you on these things. It's really good. Great.
Yeah, I think I haven't got like that involved with any one society, but just like the events from all these different like clubs and societies is really cool. Like if you wanted to, you could probably go to one every couple of days, like, and just from like people from all different backgrounds, and like you were mentioning like the international student events and things like that. Like there's a lot of, again, free food, which I'm really passionate about, and just opportunities to like meet different people is like really, I think, really cool.
All right. No, thanks for that, for providing that information. And what's something that you wish you knew, kind of looking back on things now, being in graduate school, something you wish you knew kind of when you were in the application, something you wish you knew about graduate school ahead of time that you learned kind of after the fact, or now that you're here?
It's a tricky question. I think like I mean, I don't know if it's something I wish I knew. I kind of have realized how much I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy it. Like I knew it was going to be like a good step for me, but it's just been like really awesome. I'll have to think about any other more clever answers, but
I think for me, I wish I knew that when people told me not to worry about asking lots of questions, that I believed them. Because part of me is always like, I don't really need to bother you too much. You're a higher ranking grad student or a PhD. You don't have time for me and my questions about like basic brain things. But really, almost everyone I've met is just happy to talk to you for hours about like their research and the things that they know. And you can just keep asking them questions and questions and questions. And they're just, a lot of us are chatterboxes and just like talking about ourselves and what we're working on. So, yeah, I wish I'd taken advantage of that sooner, that people just really do want to answer your questions.
Yeah, getting to know the labs and the program is kind of very important, such as in our lab. So Dr. Lyman will arrange us or schedule us with some like candidates, and we can talk about our work and our life in a school and a program, how long we can graduate. So for example, yeah, we talk with many candidates before they probably submit their application, and or they might have they haven't submitted application, and we can talk about the program and the lives and or research work if she or he interested or projects. So that's really nice conversations for many candidates and get to know the lab, the program, and the life.
All right. No, thanks for, I think those were very good points you made. And tell us, like, so with, going to graduate school, you're going to be, graduating soon. What are you looking to do professionally? So I know that, some students go into academia, some want to go into national labs, others go into government agencies, organizations, industry. So there's so many options. Mostly students are going to wind up doing something that's research intensive, regardless of what they go into, especially PhD students. So what have you thought? I guess, what are your ideas about kind of your career goals, or what is it that you want to wind up doing after you graduate?
My plan is to move back towards industry, which is kind of always my like long-term goal. But then having gone through the PhD, I definitely see the appeal of academia more and more. Like it is really cool to be able like to have the freedom to work on what you think is like productive and interesting. But yeah, my goal is to transition back to industry and probably be in Nashville for at least a bit after graduating. And I know there's a lot of like tech jobs around here all coming to Nashville. Like you've got Amazon, Oracle, and companies like that. So yeah, that's my plan, to kind of leverage like the machine learning side, I think, but hopefully applied to sensing.
I think there are a lot of options because PhD or graduate programs are sometimes it's a long journey. For masters, it will be at least 2 years, and for PhDs, it will be 4 to 6 years. It depends on the labs. We have times um, uh, to do research or to do projects both in industry and academia. So, such as Katie and I, we both did some internships in the past year. We can learn something and how the projects and research are conducted in the industry. And probably those research works will also converted to the product. So that's really nice experience. And for those, I think for academia, so sometimes it's a little bit different. People will have nice grants, writing grants, and they have really nice big pictures and ideas uh, on what they want to do in the future. And probably they are. I saw some students can apply the faculty jobs after their PhD program. Uh, and you probably also want to do a postdoc after you got a PhD degree. So that's all depends. So yeah, for academia or the faculty job, yes, it is. You can have more freedom than industry, probably, and also you can work with you can form your own lab and like talk with uh, um, collaborating with your own students. That's really nice experience. And in the industry, you will have really nice team. You're working with your colleagues and on a product, probably from research to deployment, and that's experience is also great. Depends on what you want to do, what your really interests are. Yeah.
Yucheng, do you have a job? I thought you did already, right? You're
Uh,
going back into industry?
yeah.
Sorry. Uh, this is the problem with knowing people off camera. um, so when I started grad school, I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. That's a little bit of why I decided to go to grad school, because I wanted to delay making large life decisions. That probably sounds a little counterintuitive, but that's how it worked for me. So this last year, I actually took 8 months off and I did a 3-month internship in industry, and then I taught 3 undergraduate courses for a semester. So after all of that research of last year, at this point, I think I've decided to go into industry for a little while. I don't know where exactly yet, but that's the plan. Because if anything from teaching, I realized I had only ever been in school, and as well as I've done as a professional student, I would like to be an actual professional for a little bit. But I'm definitely going to circle back to academia a little later, if not at a research university, then at a teaching university. So yeah.
Hey, thanks for sharing those plans with us. And just to let the audience know, we are in the final 10 minutes of the session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send those questions into the chat box, and we will try to get to as many of them as possible. It seems like all three of you want to go into industry, and I guess what are some specifics in terms of like what specifically do you think you'd want to do in industry? In terms, would it be more like research and development based? Would it be based in something else? I guess what would you want to do?
I think for me, definitely like research, and that's like a good thing about the PhD is it's like a stepping stone to being like I can do research, so please let me do it some more. And like I think there's a lot of opportunities in industry to like do that. So yeah.
Katie, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just research. It's really fun messing around with data. I like medical imaging and stuff, but I'm not like married to it. So being in Nashville, it's very likely I'll get into medical things because there are so many medical companies here. From Vanderbilt to there's a ton of startups, like there's tons of stuff. But my internship last summer was actually in computer vision. It wasn't in medical stuff. Very similar application or very similar methods, just different types of data. So yeah, something researchy, something data-y. I'm very open. I just like wading into whatever comes along and seems fun at the time.
Nice. For me, give one example for myself. I will continue working on exactly similar research domain. In the future in the industry. So, but difference is in the lab. So we focus more on the clinical perspective of the modeling of data. And for industry, sometimes they have some like product perspective coding or development. I will probably working on some like public framework of deployment of computer vision algorithms. So that designed for medical image analysis. Um, I think there will be gap between what you learn from the lab and what you want to do in the future. Um, so careers change. So as I know, some prior graduated students from our lab probably uh, they work in similar areas of the industry. Somebody works in a Google as a pure engineering software engineer. Somebody works on a as a like data scientist, working completely on the data and deploy some like products based on the data-driven modeling. Somebody's still working on a medical image analysis, very similar to what we did in the PhD program. So it depends. Yeah, everybody's interest is different. There are a lot of companies around. We can choose. Um, yeah, so that's for industry.
All right. Thanks. And you're right. Like Nashville has really become a huge, whether it be in the medical industry or the IT industry, is very growing, very fast growing sectors in these two areas, among other areas. I mean, the auto industry as well, that's another big area here. But yes, many job opportunities. Actually, Nashville is top 2 in the nation right now for employment opportunities. So there's a lot of exciting things going on. Top 10 fastest growing city in the U.S. right now. So there's a lot of interesting things here as well. In the last several minutes we have, I just wanted to ask, like, what is the most interesting thing, or what do you enjoy most about the research you're doing right now?
The most inspiring things for me is to work with very excellent colleagues and doctors. So we have very talented people in computer science area. We also collaborate with really nice doctors and clinicians. So this collaboration makes me always really great. So it's not many other places have these kind of resources for collaborations. That's really unique for I think for Vanderbilt because we have both nice engineering school and medical school. So and we collaborate very close. There will be a lot of opportunities and resources we can use. Uh, yeah, regarding this industry in healthcare.
I can go again, but what was your question again? Like, what is the best thing about research? Could you remind me? Sorry.
Yes. So, like, what do you enjoy most about the research you do?
Yeah, I think that, like Ichem was saying, like the interdisciplinary nature of it, and just like being able to like dive into things you're interested in, and like things you aren't interested in. You're not compelled to like work on that, and just like I really enjoy just like the nature research. It feels great when you get something working. You obviously have to endure a lot of punches along the way, but like, yeah, I think like just like looking at a problem with a new perspective in an interdisciplinary way is like really cool.
So I have two things. If I can remember them. I keep getting very into what you guys are saying. I completely forget what I was going to say. The first thing that has kind of surprised me about my research is how fun it is. I'm going to sound super nerdy for a second. It's really, really fun to me to figure out how to display data in a way that tells a story. Like making a really good art we're working on that a lot of different people can understand, especially when you're working with, like 50, 60, or hundreds of different variables all at one time, is really, really cool and really, really satisfying, like Simon said, once you get it working. Because I have literally taken 2 weeks to work on a single figure for a paper, and it goes through like 60 different revisions. But when you finally figure out something that makes sense and that really gets down to the heart of the issue that you've been working so hard to solve, so satisfying. I had another one, but I completely forgot about it, and now I'm really sad. Oh, we might remember.
Yes. Well, if you, oh no, sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say, if you remember it, like feel free to jump in and
if I
share.
do, yeah.
Yeah, I think that side of it as well, like like not just doing the research, but like communicating it as well. Like something I didn't really think about that much, but obviously it's very important. Like if no one knows what you're doing, there's not really much point in it. So it's like a cool thing to like be able to learn and like work on and get better at.
Right. So I think that's something that's very important, because students that want to do research have to really be passionate about doing it. And I think it's important to see, that you're very much, this is something that you enjoy doing. You're doing it every day, like pretty much eat, breathe, and sleep it. And that's something that students that want to do that, this is very much the program for them. So it's good to see that. I'm going to
You don't like it every day, though. There are days when you just want to take your computer and throw it against the wall, but
yeah,
75% of the time or more, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. I had some good advice on those days is when you get home, just like take on a load of sugar and it makes you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely have them, yeah.
Then you're like, yes, now I know why I'm here. Like,
yeah,
it's all good now. Nice. I'm going to fit one last question in, and it's really to wrap things up. Final statements from each one of you in terms of, with our prospective students watching tonight, what's one final thing you want to leave them with, or one final thought as they are on their journey to, applying to graduate school and really making a big decision? These are huge decisions they're going to be making. So what's one word of advice or one thing you'd want to leave them with before we end tonight?
Great question. So I will go first this time. This year is my last year of my PhD, and I'm going to graduate this year. So me and Katie have an entire experience of the PhD or graduate program experience. I would like to say Vanderbilt is a really nice school, and the ECE program is wonderful, that you will have very happy experience because you will have very productive experience research. Almost all the professors are very nice, and the courses are designed very structured, and you will learn a lot. And for your career uh, for your careers, and there will be a lot of opportunities. You will get to know, have access from wonderful programs. Yeah, so it's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go next.
Okay,
Or
sorry.
You got this.
I think I mostly just everything's been covered what I can think of, but I just would highlight again like the facilities are really cool. Like these guys are talking about. I'm not so much in that like surgery medical world, but there's like we have a clean room really well equipped for pretty much whatever you want to do, and then we've also got like Oak Ridge, as was mentioned, like the national lab, which is pretty close by as well, and that's like kind of a cool thing about Vanderbilt or Tennessee in general, I guess. But yeah, it's a great place to be.
Cool. So, definitely a great place to be. I want to reiterate that first. The other thing I would say to new grad students is, especially because of my experience, like not being very familiar with medical imaging or any of the research I went into, the last time I took a biology class was in high school. So I was very intimidated when I started. But don't be. Like, one of the things I've had to remind myself over and over and over again, even now, is like, grad school is school. Like, you get better at it, you get better at research as you practice and as you do more projects and stuff, but we're all literally here to learn how to do research and how to propose new projects and stuff like that. So it's hard, but it's very rewarding. And like the reason it's hard is because you have to learn how to do the things that you're doing. So yeah, everyone has to start somewhere. Grad school is a pretty cool place to be if that's what you think you if you think you want to do research or teach, then it's pretty great.
All right. So those are final words from our panelists. So just as we're concluding, just want to thank you again for your perspectives, your insight. Obviously, I believe that tonight's event was, very much, very beneficial for our prospective students to really get to hear all this coming directly from our students, your own experiences. And I think that's important, really being able to bring our programs, or Vanderbilt, to the world, so to speak, through these types of outreach events. And so I'm glad that we were able to have our panel with our Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering students tonight. So with that, I want to wish all of you a good evening. Stay safe out there. And thanks again for your participation. And this was really neat. I enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.